For many nights, the great bear has stolen their meat. Tonight, it returns to take the last of it.
The hunter leader meets the bear's fury head-on, and one blow almost breaks him in half.
A mother drags her only son from the killing blow, knowing they cannot keep running forever.
This beast has watched them, learned their scent, and claimed their camp as its feeding ground.
He has been knocked down many times before, but tonight he refuses to stay on the ground. They feel the rock at their backs, the beast at their front, and hunger gnawing at their bones.
It began with a quiet morning, when their world still held enough meat to dream of tomorrow.
Weeks of hunting hung above them, smoked and dried, a fragile wall between their family and starvation.
Every strip of meat was a memory of risk, and a promise that tonight they might sleep with full stomachs.
But in the wild, anything left unguarded becomes an invitation for something stronger to take it.
They slept close together, believing the fire and the smoke would keep the darkness at a safe distance. But hunger draws monsters from the trees, and this one had learned that humans hang their meat in the open. With one careless swipe, it shattered weeks of work and feasted where they thought they were safe.
When the sun returned, all that remained were broken branches, muddy footprints, and the smell of loss.
He measured the depth of the track and knew this was not just any predator. It was a giant. She saw not just ruined food, but nights of hunger ahead, and the face of her child growing thinner. For the young hunter, each shattered pole felt like a slap, a reminder that they were prey, not predators. They chewed in silence, each bite smaller than their fear, each swallow heavier than their anger. In that moment, he understood. If they waited for mercy, the forest would starve them to death. She knew the choice he was making, and that their son would walk beside him into the jaws of the beast. The boy rose not as a child, but as a hunter, ready to face the creature that had shamed them. She was no helpless spectator. If her family went to war with the bear, she would stand in the blood with them. They owned no metal, no armor, only wood, stone, and the stubborn refusal to die hungry.
Out there, the bear ruled every shadow, but for the first time, they would go seeking it instead of hiding.
3 figures walked into the forest that had always hunted them, and for once, they came as hunters.
The ground told the story clearly. The bear walked this path many times, certain no one would dare follow.
He had spent his life running from claws and teeth, and now he burned to prove he could bite back.
The bear wandered its kingdom, unaware that for the first time, prey had found the courage to enter its throne room. They moved like shadows, following the scars left by its passing, knowing one wrong step could turn them back into prey. Somewhere in the depth of its instincts, the bear felt it. Those tiny, stubborn creatures had dared to come after it. They finally saw it in the open and understood just how small 3 hungry humans truly were. To the bear, this was just another meal, another day ruling the forest without fear of challenge. He imagined driving his spear into its hide, but one look at its size kept his rage on a leash. He knew a straight attack would mean death. To kill such a beast, they would need the forest itself as a weapon. Not far from their camp, the land dropped and twisted, a place where even a giant could stumble. Without words, they shaped a plan. 3 hungry hunters against one beast that had never known fear. She searched for a weakness in the earth itself, a place where the giant's own weight could become its enemy. He saw where the trail pinched tight,
A place where the bear's strength could be turned into a fatal stumble.
In lines of dust and stone, they turned fear into geometry. 3 minds drawing a trap for a mountain of fur and claw. They offered up their final scrap of safety, trusting that one mouthful of meat could lure a monster to its fall. They turned living wood into sharpened teeth, building a mouth in the earth that could finally bite back. He tore at the ground like a desperate beast, digging a grave he prayed would belong to the bear, not his blood. Hour after hour, they traded fear for fatigue, carving one chance at life into the skin of the earth. They burned the wood until it turned black and cruel, giving simple branches the bite of fangs.
They dressed the wound in the earth so carefully that even a giant's step would never see it coming. When the ground gave way beneath the stone, they pictured fur and muscle falling instead of rock.
The bear wandered closer with every step, following old paths that had quietly been turned against it. They weighed bone, wood, and stone in their hands, knowing these would decide who ate and who was eaten. For a brief moment, they were just a family, holding on to each other before stepping into the bear's shadow.
They laid their last scrap of meat on the path like a cruel whisper, calling the giant toward its unseen grave.
They vanished into bark and stone, letting the forest hide them while they waited for its old king to walk into their new law. The smell of smoked meat crept into its lungs, pulling it toward a path that no longer belonged to it.
His heart hammered against the wood, but he held his place. Tonight, he climbed not to hide, but to strike.
The bait was tempting, but the night air tasted wrong, and for a moment, the giant listened to its unease. But hunger roared louder than instinct, and inch by inch, the beast surrendered its weight to the trap.
He struck first, pouring every hunted night into one desperate blow against the monster that had starved them. She threw herself into the fury beside him, every swing a vow that their child would not waste away in hunger. Terror clawed at his spine, but the sight of his parents alone in the storm dragged his feet back into the fight.
The beast answered their courage with raw power, and death's shadow brushed the boy's skin by a breath. They gave ground on purpose, letting its rage drag it forward, step by heavy step, toward the place where the earth would finally bite back.
The earth began to sag under its fury, each step dragging the beast closer to the mouth they had carved for it. For one shattering heartbeat, the forest itself opened its jaws and swallowed their tormentor whole.
It still fought the earth that held it, a mountain of fury refusing to accept that it could fall. He did not stop after the first blow, or the second. Every strike was payment for each stolen night of hunger. Beside him, she carved their fear into action, each swing a promise that this terror would never stalk their camp again. At last, his spear joined theirs, not in practice, but in death, and the boy crossed the line into hunter. The forest swallowed its last roar, and for the first time, the night belonged more to them than to it. They stood at the edge of what had hunted them, and for a long moment, victory felt as strange as fear. Only when its chest no longer rose did he allow himself to believe that the long hunt was truly over.
Now the question was no longer how to survive the bear, but how to make every part of it feed their new life.
The kill had given them power, but it demanded more labor than any hunt they had ever survived. The path home felt shorter now that they walked it as hunters, carrying the weight of their old fear on their shoulders.
Where the bear had once stolen from them, its flesh now covered their stones and racks like a red, heavy promise.
The smell alone felt like a victory song, richer than anything their small traps and scraps had ever given them. Before the first light touched the sky, they finally let their bodies fall still, knowing the night's worst hunger had been buried.
When morning finally came, the forest looked the same, but the family who woke inside it was not. He rose into a world where the fear that had gnawed at his stomach was hanging in strips beside their fire. Now their hunger had turned into a different problem: how to make the kill last beyond this new sunrise. Where the bear had broken their work before, they now raised something that even its weight could not easily destroy. Each strip they hung was a memory rewritten, from nights of being robbed to days of having more than enough.
In the light of day, he carved the memory of that night into his muscles, refusing to ever be only prey again.
She had always known where to cut, where to break. Now she passed that knowledge on, blade to mind, without a single word.
He marked the edge of their home with a piece of what had hunted them, a silent message to anything that walked on four legs. The trees had not moved, the stones had not changed, but now the forest walked around them, not over them.
Other hunters still moved through these woods, but now, even they paused before crossing the scent of this kill.
In his eyes, the forest was no longer a mouth waiting to swallow him, but a map of trails he could choose to hunt on.
They did not forget caution just because they had won once, but now their caution lived beside strength, not in place of it.
Its bones now watched over their fire, a reminder that even the greatest teeth could be broken.
His fear had not vanished, but now it had a shape, a weight, and a place in his hand. On this wild, ancient world, they were still small, but on this night, one family had proved that some